Hello, everyone, and welcome to Arts Alive. It's my pleasure today to have a guest celebrant, Mr. Tyler Bowe, a native of Fall River and a beloved member of the Portuguese community here.
Yeah,
Mom was a bilingual teacher, I believe,
that's
right?
correct.
In the
Yeah.
program many years ago. And Dad, wonderful man. I remember
You
Nuno
do?
Patello so
My
well.
father?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yeah.
thank
Turns
you.
out Tyler and I, the house that Tyler grew up in here in Fall River, and my house, my yard, my backyard, pretty much abut each other, as life would have it. So you left here, Fall River, as a very young man of 24 years old,
That's correct.
looking to
Yep.
find your fortune
Yeah.
in Hollywood, and you've done very well, I
Thank
will
you.
say. Yeah.
Thank you very
We're going to
much.
show some clips as we talk, but I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your early days. You know, your kiddo growing up in Fall River, and what it was like at that time, and what sort of what was the impetus to get you moving out to the big.
Well, as you know, I was born in the Azores,
Yes.
and even in the Azores, my uncle used to take me to the movies, so it began there. But to cut to the chase, when I moved to Fall River, I lived on Robeson Street, next to Dunkin' Donuts, and that's where, when I first got my first job as a delivery boy, my mother saved all my money for me. I was making $3 a week, and it took
Wow,
months. Yeah,
big
$3 a week, pulling a wagon.
Yeah.
And my mom said, because I always wanted to buy my first camera and a projector, because I already had the dream of making
Films,
movies.
yeah.
So got to a point where I think I had saved up like $15, something like that. So my mom says, okay, let's go downtown and buy you that movie projector, 8mm, which I still have all the movies in LA. So I bought my first camera, and my next move was to go around the neighborhood and get all my buddies, let's make a movie, you know? I made 18 movies.
Wow, that was good at that age.
Yeah, oh no, I was a go-getter. My most memorable one was, I have a scene at the Anderson Little on top of the stairs where I create a fight scene on top of the fire escape, and I have this dummy dressed up. I have two of my friends fighting, one punches the other, the guy comes flying down, then I throw the dummy down, and then I got to do this shot from here, and then go back, do this shot from there. So, but in total I did 18 movies, and I was like, oh my God, I got to become an actor, you know, a filmmaker, whatever you want to call it. But the opportunity here wasn't as quite as like, LA or whatever. So my mom says, why don't you get into music, And I was like, okay, I want to play the drums then. She's like, I don't know. So I get my first drum set, I don't know, first, second day in the basement, bang, bang, my mother's like, no, my father, no, you're not going to be a drummer. We're going to buy you a guitar instead.
Sounds good, yeah.
Right? I was like, okay, so I got a guitar, kept playing the drums, started bands, played around here, all over New England with.
What was the name of the band?
I had several. The first one was called Ulux, then I was in the band called The Martins, and then I joined the band, right before I went to LA, I joined the band called Sane with Winter Brothers from Somerset. The father was Jack Winters. He was the vice president here at the Savings Bank.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, Jack.
Pierce Federal, was it?
Yeah, his two sons, John and James, and Michael Crabtree, who plays in band around here. But anyhow, we were pretty successful. I ended up playing with bands doing shows with bands like the B-52s, the Ramones, Modern English. I mean, the list just goes on.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I
It was like an opening act for
yeah,
those bands?
we would headline sometimes, and sometimes we'd be the opening act.
Nice,
But the exposure was unbelievable. At times I played in front of thousands of people, So, and then, we put out our first record, EP, if you know the term.
Yeah.
It's a short album. Yeah, well, records are like, don't go there. And we got lots of airplay. And then by the age of 24, I was really fed up with the music business because, that lifestyle is just a bit too demanding,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
insecurity and all that. Although we were making a living at it, we were playing 3, 4, 5 nights a week. And, you know, 2 of my bands, we had our own houses where, you know, the basement was our studio. We were young, but we had it
Doing
together.
okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
would, we worked with Ricky Carr, the agency. So this guy would book us like, you know, 3, 4 nights a week, Alhambras, you name it.
Yeah.
We were making a living playing music, which was a big plus. But I didn't like the lifestyle so much. I mean, I love music, but so I said, you know what, it's time to go, you know? So I left the bands. The guys were all pretty peed off
Yeah,
at me.
yeah.
But I was like, look, I don't think there's going to be a future for me here. So I got in my car, drove to LA, slept in my car for what, 3 weeks? Because I left here, I'll never forget, I left here, and this was a lot of money
Well,
back in.
I hope you, well, it wouldn't have mattered, of course, when you got to LA, the weather would be good no matter when you arrived there, pretty much, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's a
saying, I hope
plus.
you got
That's a
some good
big,
weather.
that's definitely a big plus. But, you know, I got into my little 2-seater Triumph, a 6-cylinder, running on 5 cylinders. I smoked the whole country. From here all the way to LA, there was smoke coming out of the back of my car. There I was with my top down. The car was falling apart. I get to LA. I'm supposed to, a friend of mine from Fall River was like, don't worry, just come in. I got a boat. I love boats. I love sailing. I got a boat. You can stay in my boat. No problem, Tyler. Just come. That's it. I get there. I arrive
No
in
boat.
Long Beach. Yeah, no, I get there looking for Henry. Okay, I finally find the marina. I finally find the boat. I knock on the door. This guy opens the door and there's a girl behind him, right? I'm like, oh, excuse me, I'm so-and-so. I'm looking for my friend Henry. He said I could stay here. And he says, well, when you see Henry, tell him he doesn't live here anymore, right? And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Back on the street, sleeping in my car. Finally, Henry shows up, and I'm like, Henry,
Where were you?
where were you, man? Oh, what do you mean I don't have the boat? Oh, the guy. So no, but make a long story short, we're parked. We used to live in the marina in the parking lot. He was sleeping in his car. I was sleeping in my car. And then we would shower in the morning, and the marina had a public bathroom with a shower. And I'll never forget, 3, 4 in the morning, I'd get up like this because my back would be killing me. He'd get up, we'd look at each other, we're like, okay, we'd go back down to sleep. Get up in the morning and, go. I would drive to LA every morning
That's
looking
a bit of
for
a
work.
ride, too, from there.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, you're familiar with,
Somewhat, yeah.
no, sure,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit of a ride. And I got lucky. I mean, I knocked on every door. I said, I got to get a job. Even though I had family there, I had family in Artesia, and my mom was petrified. What are you doing? Come
imagine,
home.
yeah.
You need money. I'm like, well, I don't know. You got money, Mom? Whatever you want. But the problem was, I left here with $600. I'll never forget. That's all I had. I had saved up. I had $600. By the time I got to Hollywood, I had $40 left.
Wow.
Because of gas, and like every 100 miles, and it's a 3,000-mile drive, every 200-300 miles, whatever it was, I would have to keep putting oil in my car because my car was just smoking. If it would have been today, I'd be arrested for pollution. But anyhow, make a long story short, after knocking on every door in Hollywood, I didn't care what it was. I said, I don't care, I'll sweep floors, I don't care. I go to this recording studio called Paramount Recording Studios, which was owned by the famous actor James Brolin. Yeah, James Brolin was married to Barbra
Streisand,
yeah,
right now, yep.
who Dave Reitzes works with a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I know,
Dave
I've
produces
seen,
a lot, yeah.
A lot of your work, yeah.
And there's a whole story there, but I don't want to bore you guys. But next thing you know, I'm administrative assistant in the studio. I knew a lot about recording studios just from being here.
Yeah.
And then Brian, his brother, who ran the studio, he wanted nothing to do with it. So he'd be like, I'd walk in the door, he'd be like, Tyler, I'm out of here. Sit at my desk, run the studio.
Oh my God.
And I was like, thank you,
Wow.
God. Oh yeah,
Really?
no,
Yeah.
it was a big break. And I was only making $5 an hour.
Yeah.
Back
Well,
then, it was
yeah.
like, it wasn't bad. $5 an hour wasn't bad. So, and then I ended up moving into his house up in the hills. And then I worked there for a little over a year. And then I got my first, I call it my break. I got to audition for Murphy Brown.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And even though I wasn't the main character in it, I did a lot of background, spoke here and there, did some lines here and
Dave.
there. Dave,
Dave.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
it. Big Dave, Big D. And, you know, I was like, look, you can work, you know, 3-4 days a week. I'm like, whoa, I just hit the lottery. You know, if an actor can work 3-4 days a week, you just made it,
Pretty
man.
good, yeah.
I was like, that's it? I can work 3. He says, yeah, we won't give you a yearly contract, but you'll be a day player. And every time we give you a line here, a line there, you'll make the big bucks.
Perfect.
You know,
yeah.
so once in a while I'd walk in, hey, Dave, you got a line today. You're going to buy that house, you know. I'd be like, okay, cool, because you collect the royalties, residuals every time you speak,
Yeah.
you know. And so I did that for 8 years. The advantage of not being under contract, well, you'd be, if you had to speak, you had to sign the contracts.
Yeah.
And your pay went way up. I mean, way up. But the advantage was that I was able to go do other shows.
That's what I was going to ask. If in between you could fill it in if you wanted to.
Yes, and there I ended up doing what, at least 28 movies that I was in.
Terrific.
I'd be like, hey guy, Diane English, the executive producer, creator of Murphy Brown, what a sweetheart of a woman. And Candace was nice. They were all really nice.
Yeah.
But Joe Ragabudo ended up being my teacher at UCLA, my acting teacher.
Nice.
But Diane English was a sweetheart. She took care of us. She took care of the little guys, you know.
yeah.
But the advantage, like I said, was like I'd walk in, I'd be like, listen, next week, you know, I just got an offer to go do a movie, you know. Don't worry, Tyler, go ahead. No problem, go ahead, you know. And then a couple of times
really nice.
yeah, really, it really worked out. And then I always had that cushion. Okay, yeah, I know next week I'll make enough to pay the rent and feed myself because it was always there, you know.
Yeah.
So that lasted, what, 8 years? And then after 8 years, I decided, okay, I got to move on. They couldn't make my character any bigger.
Right.
And the reason wasn't that there's so many lines, I had so much dialogue at times on the show, but it always got cut out. Because as you understand, Kathy, there's a 22, on an episode, you got 22 minutes, right? The rest is commercials. So I could do 10 lines, but, you know, we're not going to cut out Candace Bergen to put Tyler Bowe in it because
No,
Tyler
of
Bowe
course
is
not,
not the star, you know what I mean? So I would get cut a lot. But I looked at it, you know, I was like, hey, man, you know, I'm working, I'm meeting everybody. I mean, from Elizabeth Taylor, Clint Eastwood, what's his name? The Kennedy kid that died in a plane crash. John. I mean, you name it. I would meet them because they'd be guests on the show. And it was such a great learning experience because I had very little training, although I went to UCLA and I went to 3 other major schools. I studied at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, which is, you know, everybody from...
It's a famous, very
famous
place.
playhouse,
So,
yeah. Everybody from De Niro, you name it, has gone there. But at that time, you couldn't get a better education than to be on a real set
Yeah.
at Warner Brothers, Stage 4. So I learned a lot, you know, even though I was just a little character running around, a lot of background, once in a while
but,
saying
you know,
hi.
I mean, what a wonderful break at that age.
It
though. So,
was.
you know, in the very early days, to get something like that,
Yes.
and to have it open so many other doors. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about it.
Mhm.
I would think.
It was a blessing.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to be able to, like I said, Diane English, like, Diane, I just got a part in this movie, you know, and it's a speaking part. go Tyler, go for it, go.
Yeah.
But one,
Somebody else would be saying, well, that's too bad, you're out of this one, I guess.
yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
kind of a response.
Well, if I had a speaking part, I wouldn't.
No,
I'd
no.
make sure. But if I was
Yeah.
just going to fill in the background and stuff like that, she'd be like, go, God bless you, go for it, Tyler, you know? So that really helped out. And I ended up doing like movies of the week for Fox. I ended up doing a bunch of movies that when they play today, I'm embarrassed. Like, oh my God, no, don't show that movie. But, you know, it was quite the experience, you know, and...
What was of the various, I mean, I've seen a wonderful video that you produced, or you had put together.
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very well done.
Thank you.
That you sent in anticipation of the show here. But what was your favorite? Did you have a favorite among those? And you've already mentioned this woman, Diane English.
Yeah.
From Murphy Brown.
Right.
Who else might have been out there that you could say, wow, I mean, I really enjoyed working with that person, or
There
I'm
was
so proud of this particular show or this particular role?
I'll tell you, it's not on the reel that I
Yeah.
sent. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe this one has it.
What it
My
was,
favorite,
I've got a note on the different
my
pieces.
favorite show of
Yeah,
all time,
yeah.
besides Murphy Brown, of course, but was I worked on an episode of China Beach.
Oh, I love that show.
Oh, my God.
I saw, that is on that reel.
That is on
Yes,
that.
it's the last,
There's
no, it's
so-
not the last one. I think there's a music video that's the
Yeah,
very
that's
last one.
Kodak Black.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
That thing is crazy. Kodak Black is up to 115 million views. 115 million views. But anyway, back to China Beach was my favorite till today, you know. Because what we did was they took us all, I was part of the Warriors. That's actually the name of the episode. And they put us all on a bus. They took us out to the set. They had this whole set with the tents. I mean, we lived it.
It looked like
Yeah.
the real deal.
It was.
Yeah,
Oh, are you
yeah.
kidding? And we would sleep in the army tents. We lived it, you know.
We might want to just stop for 1 second and talk a little bit about what China Beach, for the young.
You want to
ones
explain to
that
them? Yeah, for the.
who might not know what that is.
I'll let you do it.
China
sweetheart.
Beach, as I know it to be, was a place in Vietnam.
Correct.
I don't know. It wasn't an R&R place, though, was it? It wasn't a place where they went for rest and relaxation.
No.
They would send them out of the area for that. I
Right.
think. The soldiers after a certain amount of time.
Yes.
And the officers, of course. But China Beach was a place within the actual war zone.
China Beach was the camp that we were in, and from what I understood while I was there, was whenever they had to go into these, this is horrible, but go into villages and just wipe
Wipe it out.
no matter what, children, whatever it was, they would get these, that's why they were called the Warriors. And what they were young kids, you know, in their 20s, whatever, right? And what they would do is they said, okay, you're going to get in this helicopter, because you see it at the end of the clip, there's the helicopter flying off, we
yeah,
jump
yeah.
in there, and you can have whatever you want. You want drugs? Go ahead. You want whatever you want. You come back, you can party, do the heroin, do whatever. Nobody's going to bust you. But you're going to go in this chopper, and you're going to go in there, and
That's
you're
what
going to
you're-
kill everybody. And it was like, and these are 20-year-old kids, you know? So they, you know, they'd go in, you know, on these missions,
Crazy, man.
you know?
Yeah.
And they'd be all drugged up.
Yeah.
They'd walk in there, you know, spray the villages.
Awful.
And that never, so to answer your question, that never left my mind, because I would sleep in a tent. We all did, all this platoon, because David sold the Starsky and Hutch guy
Yeah.
from Chips. He was the director, great director. He said, no, everybody's going to live this. So we would sleep in the tents at night, and sometimes we'd get up in the middle of the night and go do some night scenes, which was crazy, in the cold, crossing rivers. And I would be laying down on my cart with my M16 with the bayonet here. That's a knife in front of your gun, for those who don't know. And the crickets would be dee-dee, dee-dee-dee, dee-dee-dee. And I'd be like, if this was real, and I know this is a movie
Yeah,
set.
exactly,
If this was real, I would go out of my mind. So I can, because I remember living in Fall River and having friends who went to Vietnam. They were a little older than me, of course, and they would come back, and these poor souls,
Awful.
they would be so out of it, and then they'd start doing the drugs and the alcohol, but that's the only way they could cope with it. But the Warriors, they were, like I said, a platoon that the government said, look, you guys do this for us, you can do whatever you want. You can do your...
We'll supply you with it, too.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
these poor souls would go on these missions, and I was one of them, you know, I was a warrior, and we'd come back and they'd be like, hey, what do you want? You want girls? You want drugs? After what you just did, you need to get your mind off of that.
Yeah,
You know,
really.
Not funny at all, not funny at all.
No.
But that had a big impact on me. I was like, whoa, that's...
Well, you were really, in a sense, as an actor, you were living it,
I was living
which
it.
is the best, in my opinion.
I
the
was
best way of
totally,
acting.
totally living
Yeah,
it, yeah. And I
'Cause
was
you get
like,
right into that character.
Yeah.
You know, you become that character.
You do.
Which can
Yeah.
be a bit dangerous.
It can.
But nonetheless, I mean, that's where the best acting will come from.
yes. So that's
Always.
definitely one experience that sticks out and one of my favorite shows. I mean, I've worked on so many different shows, but that one never escapes my mind.
Yeah.
Till
yeah.
this day.
That was a
you know.
great. She was
It was-
Dana Delaney.
Yeah.
She was a New England girl, you know. She was.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
she went to college in Connecticut.
Really?
Actually, she
Is
was
that
in
right?
the same
Yeah.
class with a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh my
She was
God.
very good in it too.
There's
It was a
another
great show.
actress here from Swansea, Borges. What's her name? I can't think of it, but she does pretty well too.
in L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's from Swansea. I can't. I think her last name is Borges.
Borges. Yeah. I'm not really familiar with her.
Yeah. So that's definitely one show that.
And how about in the sense of, you've mentioned now that David, the director of China Beach, and you also mentioned, of course, the Murphy Brown. She was the producer, director.
Creator,
But
producer,
creator,
director.
producer,
She was
director.
the big boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else that you came across or that you worked with that you really felt was a standout? Someone that maybe influenced you or...
Yeah. Lou Diamond Phillips.
Really? Yeah,
Oh
well,
my
he was
God.
there's a clip,
I'm in a
clip
movie with him.
that, right.
Yeah, I wrote 3 songs for that movie. I
Really?
also compose. I'm a composer also.
Yeah.
But I wrote 3 songs and I played a restaurant manager.
Yeah.
And Lou Diamond
And
Phillips.
they had your real name in that.
Yeah, well, that was Lou.
Tyler, yeah, I mean, it was
They
great.
couldn't figure out a name for my character.
Yeah.
I was friends with the producer. I've done 3 movies with Jim Lotfi before. And Lou was like, you gotta get your name, Tyler. Because I want to refer, I need a
course,
name.
yeah.
And I'm like, well, you gotta talk to Jim. You know, he wrote the script, he's the producer, let him come up with a name. I'm gonna call you Tyler.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
yeah.
whatever you can call me anything except a.
Yeah.
And that was it. So it's like Tyler. Then my character becomes Tyler, and I was like, that's pretty. I guess that's cool.
Yeah,
you know?
that's a great little
Yeah.
thing with those.
Because it makes it personal for me, because
Yeah.
I know anybody who doesn't know me, it's like, oh, that's his character's name. But every time Lou Diamond Phillips says, "Thank you, Tyler," and I
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
"Ooh, ooh."
yeah.
But sweetheart.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, total sweetheart of a guy.
Was that the only film that you worked on with him? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But he was very supportive.
Oh my God, yeah. Funny and supportive. Mel Gibson was really nice to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I photo doubled. I've done a lot of photo doubling. See, everybody thinks you're an actor. You're always the star in front of the camera.
Yeah.
No, actors make money in a lot of different ways. You can
yeah.
do hand modeling, which I've done lots of. You can do photo doubling. I've been photo double for Mel Gibson. I've been a photo double for Steve Buscemi on Boardwalk
Oh, yes,
Empire.
yeah.
I did more
He's a great
scenes.
actor too.
Oh,
that
he's
one.
and director.
Yeah.
But Steve couldn't, they were shooting here, so they set up a whole nother team in LA,
LA, yeah.
and they were like, Tyler, you have the same physical appearance, kind of, same height,
Yes, yeah,
I'm a little
yeah.
than
Well,
he
chiseled,
is.
chiseled
Yeah,
shape
we
kind
got
of,
the
yeah,
chisel face,
yeah.
and they were like, we got to set up a second team here, and they know I play gangsters. I play too many gangsters, you know, And that was it. I became like all the billboards. My hands were even on Times Square. That's not Steve
no
Buscemi.
kidding,
That's
yeah.
on Times Square.
Yeah.
Those are my hands. All the billboards, the buses, everything. That's all me. Whenever you see a poster where Steve is either shooting somebody or hitting somebody with a thing, that's me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they stick his head on
Yeah,
top of my
that's
body.
right.
I
As long
worked
as
on-
they pay.
Oh, they paid.
Yeah.
They paid well. I
Yeah.
gotta say, they paid
Yeah.
well. And I thought Boardwalk Empire was a really well done.
Oh, it was very well done.
Very.
That
I
was a
love
very
period
good
pieces
show.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
pieces like that.
Got a little violent at times.
Yeah,
It was
right.
A
No,
very,
very well
because I
done.
think he's such a great actor.
Actor and
Oh,
director.
yeah,
And director.
Yeah.
And that's another one. And then
Now, yeah, I had seen too on your Facebook page, you put up a note that you were just done a new commercial, I think it was. Are you part of
yeah,
something?
I've done quite a few. Yeah.
Recently. It seemed as if this was something recent.
Yeah. It's
Or you were
well,
about
there's
to
two
do
of
it.
them.
If you hadn't done it, you were about to do it.
Well, I
that
just
kind of
did a Opel commercial for Germany, and I have to clarify that it's not a commercial. It's what's called a cinemercial.
Oh, yeah.
In Europe, they don't do that in the States, but in Europe, when you go to the movies,
Oh,
there's
for
an
the movie.
intermission.
Yeah,
There's an intermission. Like they'll show half of the movie, then all of a sudden you cut, and then they show cinemercials,
Yeah.
which are these commercials that are like they're like mini movies. I've done quite a few of them. It's like a short movie, but it's like high action. They spend a ton of money. So the one that is on my reel, that's an Opel. That's why you see the car. You know,
yeah.
that's one. The other one was CDW Cisco, where I played a rock star in the recording studio. That was another commercial. I've also done like a ton of music videos. I've been in Beyonce. I've worked with Beyonce. I've worked with Kodak Black. That's up to 115 million views.
Wow.
Run the Jewels. Oh, and I did, of course. You want to hear a great story? My agent calls me, right? Tyler, I think I got a job for you. Let me know if you want it. I said, what is it? It's a music video. And I had been doing like music video after music video. I say, okay, who is it? You know, I says, I'm not quite sure who he is, but supposedly he's kind of famous. He picked you, he wants you to be in his film as an office worker. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything, you know, and work is work. I'm like, sure, I'll do another video. Next thing you know, I show up to the set, and I say, well, who's the guy, you know? And he says, his name is Chuck. I'm like, Chuck, and he's like, I said, what's his last name? Oh, Chuck Prophet. Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, fine, okay, another job. I show up to the set, we're shooting, right? And we're shooting and playing around. Everything's going well, and I see Chuck, of course, you know, and I'm standing next to Chuck, and I go, said, hey, man, you know, how you doing? You know, thanks for having me on your video, and I really appreciate it. He said, oh, of course, Tyler, you know, you got the perfect look, blah, blah, blah. So I turn around to him and I say, so you're on tour now? He says, well, I just finished the tour. And I said, well, where have you been playing? He goes, well, our last gig was at a place in New England called The Narrows.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, I'm like, The Narrows in Fall River? He said, yeah. He says, well, you know that place? I'm like, get the fudge out of here, right? In Fall River, you were at The Narrows? And he goes, yeah, man, we had a great show.
Yeah, they love
the
it.
place.
They love to come here. Yeah. Listen, I can't thank you enough. It's been
Thank
wonderful.
you, Kathy.
So,
what
so
a pleasure.
very
I
nice to
know
see
we've
you
met
again.
before,
Oh,
but what
we
a
have, yes,
pleasure
we
to
have.
see you
You were a
again.
little one, though.
I was a little one.
Yeah, you were
I'm
a
still
little
not
one.
that big.
No, you're good.
I was always little. Thank
Thanks so
you.
much for joining us, everyone. We'll see you again.